Episode 23. The Day That Repeated. The day did not announce itself as unusual. There were no alarms, no interruptions, no visible distortion. Morning arrived on schedule. People woke when they expected to. Clocks matched. Devices synced. Weather reports aligned with observation. Nothing suggested deviation. The first indication appeared as familiarity. A commuter paused on a platform, certain they had already stood in that position. Not recently, not yesterday, earlier that same morning. They dismissed the thought. Fatigue explained it. The train arrived. The doors opened. The same sequence of movement followed. People boarded. The same advertisements passed the windows. The same voice announced the next stop. Nothing was incorrect. The sensation faded. Elsewhere, a person completed a task and felt no relief. Not dissatisfaction. Absence. They had expected the sensation of completion. It did not arrive. The task felt unresolved despite being finished. They moved on. At mid-morning, a conversation occurred. Two colleagues discussed a minor scheduling adjustment. The exchange was brief, practical, unremarkable. An hour later, the same conversation occurred again. Same wording, same pauses, same outcome. The second participant did not react. The first noticed only after the exchange ended. They searched their memory for uncertainty. They found none. They did not mention it. By midday, small confirmations accumulated. A receipt printed twice with the same timestamp. A notification arrived that had already been acknowledged. A dropped object was retrieved, then fell again in the same way. Each incident resolved quickly. Each incident left no trace. The day continued. People ate lunch. They returned to work. Traffic patterns followed expectation. The repetition did not disrupt continuity. It nested inside it. Those who noticed did not compare experiences. Each assumed isolation. The repetition did not feel collective. It felt personal. In one location, a person attempted to change routine deliberately. They altered their lunchtime by several minutes. They chose a different route. They initiated a conversation they had not planned. The changes occurred. They did not prevent repetition. The same adjustments happened again. The repetition did not resist variation. It incorporated it. The day was not restarting. It was replaying forward. At early afternoon, a person experienced a more pronounced effect. They completed a phone call and placed the device down. Moments later, the phone rang. Same caller. Same opening words. Same inflection. The person answered without comment. They allowed the call to proceed. The repetition completed itself. Afterward, they felt a brief pressure behind their eyes. Not pain. Alignment. They did not attempt to analyze it. The pressure eased. By mid-afternoon, those who had experienced repetitions began experiencing hesitation. Not confusion. Delay. They paused before actions that required no deliberation. They waited before responding to questions they knew the answer to. They hesitated before standing, before speaking, before moving. These hesitations did not change outcomes. They extended moments. The day felt longer, not slower, denser. At one point, a person checked the time repeatedly. The clock advanced normally. Minutes passed at expected intervals. Yet the sense of duration disagreed. The person felt as if more had occurred than the time allowed. They stopped checking. The day continued. In a different area, a person noticed something else. Their memory of the morning felt layered. They recalled waking up once, then twice. Both memories felt valid. They could not distinguish which belonged to the present sequence. They did not feel alarmed. They accepted both. As the afternoon progressed, repetition became less exact. Not less frequent, less precise. Conversations repeated with minor variation. Objects fell similarly, but not identically. Sounds echoed with slight distortion. The pattern loosened. This change was subtle. It did not suggest resolution. It suggested adjustment. Those who attempted to mark the moment lost track of sequence. They could not identify when repetition began. They could not identify when it changed. The day resisted segmentation. At a public location, someone noticed the list. It was present. The names were unchanged. The order remained fixed. One name had shifted position slightly, not upward, laterally. Spacing had adjusted around it. The observer did not dwell on the detail. They continued their routine. Their day repeated moments later. The repetition did not include the observation. The second instance passed without awareness. By late afternoon, the number of people experiencing repetition increased. Still not universally. Selective. Those already marked on the list experienced it first. Those unmarked experienced less. Some experienced none. The repetition did not apply evenly. Clustered. A person whose name was circled experienced repetition in short intervals. A sentence restarted twice within a minute. They remained calm. They allowed it to complete. The repetition ended. Their environment stabilized briefly. Another person, unmarked, experienced a single repeated moment. They noticed. They dismissed it. It did not recur. The distinction was not visible. It was experiential. As evening approached, the repetition compressed. Moments repeated closer together. Not longer, shorter. The gaps between repetitions narrowed. People moved through the day with increasing efficiency. Decisions closed quickly. Conversations shortened. Tasks completed without reflection. The environment appeared to accelerate. Those who noticed the acceleration felt resistance. Not physical, cognitive. They felt pushed forward. The day did not allow lingering. At one point, a person attempted to stop. They sat down without purpose. They remained still. The repetition occurred anyway. The same thought occurred twice. Then once more. The stillness did not interrupt the sequence. It was absorbed. As daylight faded, the repetition lost definition. Moments overlapped. A person remembered an action while performing it. Not prediction. Simultaneity. This state resolved quickly. The person felt fatigue. They rested. The fatigue passed. The repetition did not return immediately. Night arrived. Lights turned on. Shops closed. Routines concluded. The day appeared to end. People returned home. They slept. The following morning arrived. Clocks advanced. Schedules resumed. The repetition did not continue. No one mentioned it. Those who noticed assumed anomaly. Those who did not notice experienced nothing. The day entered memory, not as repetition, as uncertainty. Later, when records were reviewed, nothing appeared unusual. Logs were clean. Timestamps aligned. No duplication existed. Only memory retained inconsistency. The day had repeated, but not completely. It had rehearsed itself. The purpose was not correction. It was alignment. Those who resisted alignment experienced friction. Those who adapted experienced compression. The day selected its participants. Not everyone was included. The list reflected this. No new names appeared. No names were removed. The order remained fixed. The day did not repeat again. Not immediately. It remained available. The following days progressed normally. This normality drew attention only because it followed the repeated day. People searched for confirmation without naming it. They checked clocks more often. They noticed timestamps. They reread messages. Nothing deviated. The absence of repetition did not resolve uncertainty. Preserved it. Those who had noticed the repeated day did not share the experience widely. They referenced it indirectly, if at all. When asked about fatigue or distraction, they attributed it to routine. The explanation satisfied others. It did not satisfy them. The memory of the day did not fade. It did not consolidate into a single version. It remained layered. A person remembered making a choice twice. They remembered two different moments of deciding the same thing. The outcomes were identical. The paths differed slightly. They did not know which path belonged to the retained sequence. They stopped trying to determine it. Another person noticed a delay when recalling the repeated day. Not absence. Latency. The memory surfaced more slowly than others. When it arrived, it felt compressed, as if the content had been reduced to fit a narrower space. Details were present. Sequence was intact. Texture was diminished. This reduction made the memory easier to carry. The person preferred it that way. The list did not change. Those who checked saw no additions, no removals, no new markings, the same circles, the same crossings, the same underlines. The order remained fixed. This stability suggested closure. It was inaccurate. What followed was not repetition. It was residue. Moments that should have resolved cleanly did not. A conversation concluded, yet the sense of conclusion failed to arrive. A task completed, but the feeling of completion lagged. An argument ended without satisfaction or tension. These residual effects were brief. They passed. They left behind a faint distortion. Those who had experienced the repeated day noticed these effects more often. Those who had not noticed experienced fewer. The difference was consistent. One individual attempted to recreate the repetition deliberately. They followed the same routine as the repeated day. They traveled the same route. They ate at the same time. They initiated the same conversations. The routine occurred once. It did not repeat. They adjusted details. Still nothing. They abandoned the attempt. The repetition did not respond to reenactment. Another individual attempted the opposite. They introduced unpredictability. They deviated from routine deliberately. They changed decisions at random. They interrupted patterns. This did not produce repetition. It produced compression. Their days felt shorter, not fewer hours, less content. They accomplished tasks without noticing sequence. The sense of passage diminished. They did not pursue the strategy. The list remained unchanged. Those who observed it more closely noticed something subtle. The spacing between names felt tighter, not because names had moved, because the page felt crowded, as if the list were accommodating pressure without expanding. This sensation could not be measured, could only be perceived. A person whose name was circled experienced a second effect days later. A moment nearly repeated. It began. It halted. The interruption was clean. No overlap. No echo. The moment proceeded once. The person noticed the interruption distinctly. They felt relief. This relief did not last. Later that same day, another moment repeated fully. The alternation suggested modulation, not failure. The repetition was being applied selectively. The person adjusted behavior instinctively. They reduced hesitation. They allowed decisions to resolve quickly. They avoided reflection. The frequency of repetition decreased. Not to zero, to tolerance. Another circled individual attempted the same adjustment. Their repetitions did not decrease. They differed in a small way. They lingered on memory. They replayed the repeated day internally. They attempted to map its structure. The repetition returned. More precisely, the list did not mark this escalation. It had already done so. Unmarked individuals continued without disruption. Most did not notice any change. A few experienced brief anomalies. A sound repeated. A movement duplicated. These events occurred once. They did not recur. The individuals dismissed them. They were not included further. This selectivity reinforced an unspoken understanding. The repeated day was not a global malfunction. It was targeted. Those included were not chosen randomly. They shared a capacity. They noticed sequence. They retained it. They resisted letting it dissolve. The environment responded by rehearsing sequence for them. Once, then adjusting. The rehearsal was sufficient. The list reflected this sufficiency. No new markings appeared. No circles darkened. No underlines expanded. The system had progressed to the next phase. People who had experienced repetition began noticing something else. Their anticipation changed. They expected closure earlier. They assumed resolution sooner. They did not wait for confirmation. This altered interaction. Conversations ended faster. Decisions felt pre-approved. Opportunities passed without deliberation. The environment appeared to reward this behavior. Friction decreased. Those who maintained slower rhythms experienced increased resistance. They were interrupted more often. They were misunderstood. Their timing felt off. They were not removed. They were deprioritized. The list did not reflect this deprioritization directly. It did not need to. One underlined individual experienced the repeated day differently. They did not notice repetition. They noticed efficiency. Their day felt unusually smooth. Transitions occurred without pause. No moment felt redundant. They moved through tasks with minimal friction. They assumed it was a good day. They did not consider it further. This difference mattered. The repetition did not apply equally across markings. Circled individuals experienced duplication. Underlined individuals experienced streamlining. Crossed-out individuals experienced erosion. Unmarked individuals experienced continuity. The day had not repeated for everyone. It had been applied differently. Those who attempted to compare experiences failed. Descriptions did not align. The repeated day could not be reconstructed collectively. It resisted shared memory. Each person held a version incompatible with others. The list preserved this incompatibility. Days passed. No second repetition occurred. The possibility remained present. Those who noticed felt it, not as expectation, as availability. The day could be accessed again if conditions required. The conditions were not named. They were inferred. Attention density, memory persistence, resistance to compression. The list remained. It did not announce readiness. It did not signal completion. Those watching understood without articulation. The repeated day was not an anomaly. It was a calibration, a test of tolerance. Those who aligned were compressed. Those who resisted were pressured. Those who adapted were stabilized. The system advanced without spectacle. The repeated day faded from conversation. It remained active in behavior. The list did not change. The order held. The next adjustment was already forming, not as repetition, as removal.